Israeli forces are preparing for an expected ground invasion of Gaza. The troops will face urban combat in what Hamas claims is a 300-mile network of underground tunnels. Retired Major John Spencer joins us now to help us understand what a ground invasion could look like. He is the chair of urban warfare studies with the Modern War Institute at West Point. Major, thank you so much for joining us. When we talk about a 300-mile network of tunnels, tell us a little bit about the challenges of how Israel has to navigate that during this expected ground invasion.
Yeah, it's probably the worst challenge you'd want to have as a military in a situation like that, because the tunnels provide sanctuary for the enemy to your bombing, to your ability to see them, to cut their communications, all the things you would do before like a city attack like this. Hamas can use those tunnels to pop up. And these are like New York City level deep, multiple levels of tunnels that you can move rockets through, vehicles through, motorcycles, hidden openings that you can pop up behind the IDF soldiers. It's a nightmare, really.
So we know that urban warfare is perhaps the most grueling form of warfare, and it uses up many, many resources. But here you have an environment where, IDF soldiers have not been in there for quite a long time, deep inside Gaza. We mentioned the whole tunnel network. Huge swaths of Gaza look like they've been completely destroyed by missiles. So we're talking about rubble, which I can't imagine tanks can navigate very easily. I don't know how they're going to do this. There are civilians who have been told to leave but really have no place to go, and so are still enmeshed in amongst, Hamas, I would think members of Hamas. So what's the strategy here?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. I mean, that's why I have job security, because the fact that these type of battles will continue to happen in our world, and they're increasing as a small force, like a terrorist organization, can take an urban area and then use it for all its defensive advantages and cause a military, it doesn't matter if it's U.S. military, IDF, nobody's ready for this mission. It does require, in this situation where you have a defender who's psychologically, you can't scare or intimidate to leave, you have to go in with what we call a deliberate attack, leading with bulldozers to clear that rubble. So then you can follow the tanks, who are the few vehicles that can punch through concrete. And then you have to go house to house, block by block, tunnel by tunnel, prying those defenders who are willing to die in their holes out of it. It's not something we haven't seen, right? Look at Mosul 2017, Mawari, Raqqa, Aleppo, Fallujah. It's unfortunate that the image that we're going to see, most of the city will be destroyed in order to destroy Hamas.
I'm curious about the preparations for something like this. How do you prepare, if you were Israel, to go through these tunnels? I'm imagining, do they have a map of all of this in terms of how they approach it? What is that process like?
Yeah, it's very complicated, and they do have maps of a lot of the tunnel networks. But this is almost like a race, as Hamas knows of a lot of IDF's capabilities, to include informants, human intelligence. So they go deeper and deeper with their tunnels. The IDF are unique in the world as developing soldiers and equipment specifically to go into the tunnels and map them before them. Robots, drones, dogs, special equipment where you can see through tunnels, because all night vision doesn't work. Normal night vision doesn't work when there's no ambient light, like in a tunnel. So there are also ways that you deal with the tunnel, as in filling them with water, filling them with cement, filling them with other things. But when you have 200 plus hostages who are likely, very likely, we already know that many are, in the tunnels, that really complicates what the IDF will be able to do to deal with the tunnels.
So, yes, Israel's goal is twofold: to rescue these hostages, but you mentioned destroying Hamas. So my question to you is that even a realistic goal? I mean, dismantling a terrorist organization is one thing, but as we've seen even with ISIS, every time you sort of knock out one leader, another one fills that spot. And we're also not talking about people, we're talking about an ideology. What is a success in a case like this?
So that's a really good question. What does a victory look like? What does success look like? As a military guy, I think it is very achievable to destroy Hamas military capability which is if you hear the different mission statements being given by the IDF, destroy Hamas military capability and prevent them from ever being able to do an attack like October 7th or an attack again for decades. That is possible. But you're right, it's really hard to kill an ideology, but ISIS is still around, Al-Qaeda is still around, and Nazis are still around, but they no longer have military capability to hurt innocent civilians in a nation. Like this is like the primary right of self-defense. It is achievable to destroy the military capability, but you're right. What comes after to prevent another Hamas with a different name in the same area with sanctuary because of the complexities from popping up again?
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated, but like you said, that's why you still have a job, unfortunately. But fortunate that you're working. I'm getting tongue-tied over it because there's no good answer. Retired Major John Spencer, really interesting conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.